once you've set up your axes, I would like everybody to plot the following point. 5, 3. Do that, label it, and then hold it up when you're done. And I'll tell you whether you're good or you need to try again. Instructions. Ready? By the way, just for everybody's, make sure we're all on the same. That's your 5, 3. Okay, ready? Here comes a little bit of a leap. And if you're working in groups of 2, pass your board to your partner if they don't have their own board. So let somebody else do this. Listen, because I'm going to give this as an oral direction. And I'm not going to write anything on the board, so you got to listen. I need you to plot the following point. By the way, call this point A on your board, just so we know what's what. Ready? I want you to plot the opposite of X with the same Y. Here was your original point A, 5, 3. Opposite X, same Y. Keep the Y value the same, and the X value is now going to be opposite. What you're going to do is locate that point and label that point. And I'll tell you whether you're good or you need to try again. If you did it the way you're supposed to do it, the opposite of 5 is -5, and the same Y value is 3. That is going to put you right here. -5, +3. Okay? Here's the new part. What you've just done is you've plotted what's called a reflection of point A. We're going to call it B, and I'll explain why. When you think of reflection, what do you think of? Symmetry, or what else might you think of when you think of the word reflection? A mirror, right? If you take a mirror and place it along the y-axis, the reflection on the left side looks like the same on the right side. Here you've gone across 5 and up 3. Here you've gone to the side 5 and up 3. What you've just done is reflected a point across the y-axis. Why across the y-axis? Because from A to B, you're crossing over the y-axis. You've created a reflected point over the y-axis. Ready for your next task?
Yes, sir.
Starting with A, I want you to draw the reflected point across the x-axis.
That means a point across.
Based on your knowledge of what's happening between A and B, and I explained to you that you're reflecting over the y-axis, starting with A now, I want to see if you can reflect point A over the x-axis and where that would wind up. And then once you have it plotted, label it and hold it up. I'll let you know whether it's an A, a C, or an F. So far, so good. You did a good job. When you're reflecting over the x-axis, now we're thinking, okay, well, here's my original A. I am now going to go, still going to stay a +5, but I'm going to go down 3. And then the coordinates for this new point is what? Somebody raise your hand. Go ahead, Anna.
5, -3.
It becomes 5, -3. And we'll call that point C. Okay? Repeat after me. Reflection over the x-axis. Ready for your last task? Starting at A, I want you to reflect over the x first, then over the y.
What? Oh,
Okay? You have one more point you got to put in. Reflect over the x, reflect over the y, put your point, and label it. All right, before I give you that, your final point winds up being here. You've reflected over the x, and then you've reflected over the y. By the way, If I were to tell you to reflect over the y first and then over the x, would it make a difference? Let me say yes. Let me say no. Good. You still wind up at -5, -3. We'll call that point D. Here it comes. You ready? When you reflect over the x, which coordinate does not change? The x or the y?
Wait, oh my God.
When you reflect over the x, which coordinate does not change? The x coordinate or the y coordinate?
Wait, what?
Kira, let's see if she's right. When we reflect over the x, which coordinate does not change? What should it be? The x. When we reflect over the x, we started at 5, we end at 5. The x coordinate doesn't change. So I can't give her the ticket. But it leads me to my next question. When you reflect over the y, what coordinate doesn't change? Delaney. Let's see if she's right. Reflect over the y. She's right. 3 stays 3. Come get. Okay? All right. From where you are, you don't need to actually do anything other than to open your books to page 5. And we've kind of already done this already, but now we're just going to formalize it in our notes. We're skipping the first 4 pages because we've technically done it. Don't put anything away just yet. We've kind of done this, but we're just going to put it into our notes so we have something to look back on because you can't take marker boards home with you. Okay, looking at our coordinate plane, we've done 5, 3 already. That's here, point S. When we reflected across the x-axis, where did we wind up? What were our coordinates? Reflected again across the x-axis, and if you get stuck, just look at your board, because it's on your board. The only difference is we call it point A. Up here, they're calling it point S. All right, Brandon, where did we wind up? Across the x-axis, we wound up here. Read it to me again. What did you say? I think you were right. Yeah, you're right. 5, -3. So that's going to go here. Right? That's across the x-axis. Now across the y, where did you wind up? Dan?
-5, 3.
Correct. Then, when I told you to go across the x and then the y, where did you wind up? Take a look back at your marker board if you need to. CC. And I've already kind of proven the point, but if we start going across the y first and then the x, you pretty much are at the same spot. -5, -3. Let's do one more together. Point L. That's here. All right, let's do it. Reflect it across the x-axis. Feel free to do it right on here if you need to. Reflect it across the x-axis, and where do you wind up? I'll give you a moment to do that. Who's stuck? Okay. Record. Point L's here. You got to reflect it over the x-axis. Here's my x. So now I'm thinking, okay, it's got to go here. I went to the left 2, but now instead of going up 4, I'm going to go down 4. make believe again that there's a mirror here. You've created a mirror here, a top half and a bottom half. So I just need to know what the coordinates of that point is. What do you got, John? I'm going to let you do it. What are those coordinates, hon? Do you know? Will, do you know?
Yeah. -2 and -4.
Right, -2, -4. Okay, now ready? Same point L reflected over the y-axis. So think, here's my y. I've got to be, I'm somewhere here now. I'm in quadrant 1 now. This is my new point. You just got to be able to identify it properly. Jay, go ahead.
Oh, I got 2 -4.
Try again. Here, look here, because I plotted it for you. Just give me those coordinates.
2 cos 2.
2, 4. Okay. X, then Y. Gavin. Yep. Across Y and then X. Jen. Same thing. This is a little bit of a leap for you guys, but listen, don't try to guess. Think about what you're doing. Use the top part of this page as like a little map, a little model for you to actually go through it. And if you want to use your finger and say, okay, across the Y. Okay? Use the top part as like a little work page, if you will. All right? All right, I'm going to leave you guys to do this. You need to put your marker boards away first and then group up like you normally do with your lesson booklets and complete the last 2 points. And then I'll have an answer key up here as well. For those of you that are finishing up, when you get done, I have the answer key up here. But don't look up until you're done because I'm just, you want to be able to do it on your own. But this is the key for the remaining 2 points. Check and make sure.